next guest has a very interesting story to tell, and it's an unhappy story. So I want to prepare you because it is about child abduction. And so I'm giving you something of a trigger warning in case it may upset you. Everybody, this is Tom Toolan. Good morning, Tom.
Morning, Sonia.
How are you doing this morning?
Okay.
As well as you could be, indeed.
Yeah.
Right. Well, many people, Tom is here really to talk about, well, parental alienation. And I've talked about parental alienation before, and I've received letters from people saying that doesn't exist. It's just a load of abusive men who are trying to use a title and a tag to get away with this and that and blah, blah, blah. Well, it does exist. I know it exists. I've dealt with enough people on both sides of the fence. Mums who are estranged from children, dads who are estranged from children through no fault of their own. And Tom is unfortunately been placed in a position through no fault of his own, through no choice of his child. And that is in 2018, despite a UK court order prohibiting her removal from the UK, Tom's daughter was taken to Poland, and you haven't seen her since, I understand, Tom. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've not seen her since 2019, July the 4th.
Yeah. What's been going on? When I talked to you yesterday, we're talking about such a series of court orders. So first of all, let's get some of the basic housekeeping out of the way. The first thing that happens in these situations, I had to ask Tom, are you responsible for harming this mother in any way? Are there any allegations against you? Yes. Tom was accused of 15 allegations, all found to be false. They included financial abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, psychological abuse. And as I say, all were found to be false. What worked in Tom's favour largely was that he's worked in education for 20 years. He has an enhanced certificate and shows a consistently clean record. The worst that Tom has ever been in trouble for is speeding. And he wasn't alienated from his daughter. His daughter was simply going on holiday and the mother decided not to return her. And well, Interpol are issuing a yellow notice. I mean, Tom, you've got so many court orders. I don't even know if I can keep up with them. You have Supreme Court, High Court, you have local courts, all saying that your daughter's abduction is unlawful and retention in Poland is also unlawful. What are the obstacles for you, Tom?
The obstacles really are Poland is just not cooperating. There have been 4 attempts to recover my daughter. Each attempt has failed. The last attempt was in May 2021, and it was like going to someone's house as if it was a normal occurrence for the police, the courts, and the psychologist to turn up, have a wander around, and look for a missing child. It was just unreal. I can't explain the emotions you go through when you attend things like this, because you start to come to terms with the fact that your child is missing. Then you get an email from your solicitor saying they found her, and then you turn up hoping to bring your child home, and then nothing happens. You turn up and everyone denies everything. No one knows anything, and it's just heartbreaking. And that's before you talk about the expense as well. It's just horrendous.
You've had 4 recovery attempts. You are the legal guardian of your child. You have been given full custody. What's happened with the recovery attempts?
Well, there's only been 4. There was 3 in 2019. All of them failed, and then the last one was in October 21. But just not getting the cooperation of the Polish court curator. The sister of the abducting parent works for the local police. The local police have been tasked with locating my daughter and facilitating a return to the UK, and it just doesn't happen. And the most on the last attempt, the really horrible thing was that the attempt on the 26th of May failed. 2 weeks later, the Polish police turn up at the premises, interview the abducting parent, interview my daughter, respond to Interpol, but they didn't arrest the abducting parent. They didn't remove my daughter, and life just goes on for them, where I'm left in this limbo of almost mourning a child that's not dead, you know, because you go through the same process as bereavement.
Can't imagine. I mean, I cannot imagine, parent to parent, I cannot imagine the pain that you have endured over the last few years. And I find it absolutely shocking that the Child Abduction Act doesn't actually criminalize failure to return children to the UK. I mean, that's insane.
Well, the Child Abduction Act is, I mean, it came into force in 1984. And when it came into force, the politicians knew there was something wrong with it. And there was a legal case called the Nikolai case, where a parent took their child abroad and then didn't come back on the guise of a holiday. And that isn't a criminal offence. That's called illegal retention. So I spent 3 years looking for evidence that my daughter's abduction was premeditated. And only when I did that did the police get involved. Essex police were not interested. They did everything to stop me, stop a full and proper investigation. And it was only for the fact that Suffolk police took me seriously and had some ethical and moral obligations that they supported me right through to the CPS. And now we're on a criminal footing. My daughter's abduction, it was a criminal offence. It was a criminal offence under the 1984 Child Abduction Act, and hopefully that's going to progress. But, you know, we talk about the unintended consequences of Brexit, and this is one of them. If we'd had still been in the EU, getting an extradition would have been automatic.
Really?
And as a UK and Polish partners, there would have been an expectation that they would have returned the abductor for prosecution and my daughter. But the chances of that happening now is pretty remote, to be fair.
This is quite widespread, Tom, and I say that because as soon as we'd sort of tweeted, rather you tweeted and I retweeted you, somebody else contacted me immediately saying the same has happened to me in Greece, and then I got an email from somebody else saying the same has happened to me in France. So this is not a one-off, is it?
No. So Poland, abductions from the UK to Poland are high. One, because I believe of Brexit, and then followed by COVID. But I'm contacted nearly every day from mainly dads from around the world whose children have been abducted. At the moment, for example, a friend of mine is supporting at least 5 dads who've had their children abducted to Cyprus.
Wow.
Last week, I supported a father whose child had been abducted to the UK. And at the same time, I was dealing with another father whose 2 children had been abducted from Iceland to Poland. And the thing is there's no legal support for dads. There's no, you know, I contacted all the agencies, even Fathers for Justice, for example, and they just more or less said, you're on your own. We don't deal outside the UK. There's no money for you. And so many fathers give up, one, because they can't afford the solicitors or the attorneys in the country the child's abducted to, and 2, physically and mentally, it's draining. It's just awful.
Yeah, it's horrible. And we have to change attitudes as well, because I'm pretty damn sure if the situation was reversed and if it was a father on the run with a child, I think that there would be more of an uproar about this than the mother being on, you know, having the child. And I think there's a lot of problems with that. And there is an automatic assumption in a situation like this that the father must have done something wrong. And again, we have to start breaking down these stereotyped ideas about parenting. And because, you know, the mother isn't always the best person for the child, you know, and that is a reality, in the same way as sometimes you have to keep children away from fathers. Not all parents are great parents. What are Interpol saying, Tom? People want to know. It's a yellow notice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a yellow notice. At the moment, Interpol are being quite quiet. And I don't know if that's for operational purposes. So at the moment, there's nothing on the Interpol website, but I've had reassurance from Suffolk Police that they're in constant contact with Interpol, and they're working with Interpol for the yellow notice on my daughter. And of course, hopefully, once the CPS have gone through their procedures, a red notice will be issued for the abducting parents as well. Whether that'll make any difference, I really don't know. I sincerely hope so, because my biggest fear is at some point, my daughter is going to realise that since 2018, she's been living a lie.
Right.
And those people who are supposed to love her and care for her have lied to her, and they've kept her from her father. At the moment, I don't even know if my daughter knows I am alive, never mind anything else.
That's just terrible.
And no one, unless you go through it, people just don't seem to get it, really. It's awful for the child. Many children go on to have mental health problems.
Sure.
Some of them commit suicide because they can't cope with the fact that their mother or father purposely, deliberately erased them from their lives,
Right.
and for their own selfish reasons.
Yeah. It's outrageous. I'm being told in the comments that it is very widespread. London lady says it is widespread. My friend's sons were taken to Japan after he got full custody here in the UK. And people are saying that Luggerbug says my friend's brother is also terrified in a similar situation. I mean, it is awful, Tom, because I mean, I cannot imagine how you even get through the day. I mean, you know, no contact, not knowing how she is, you know, not knowing when you're going to be reunited. It's bad stuff, bad stuff. How can people support you in any way, Tom?
I mean, at the moment, the support I need is to raise the awareness of my case. I've been told that Poland is not going to do anything until the publicity, start to get bad press in the newspapers and on TV. That's what they respond to. And what really irks me about this is the UK and Poland have supported each other for years and years and years. Even now, our British troops are in Poland. One, because of what happened with Belarus, and two, now what's happening with Russia. The minister at the time, Chris Heaton-Harris, said to me, we give a lot to Poland. The UK gives a lot to Poland, and we ask for very little in return. And what I'm asking Poland for is my daughter to be returned. And I want the British public to join me and ask Poland to return my daughter. Her home is in the UK. Her mother had the choice to come back to the UK with my daughter. I put together a financial package and a support package to facilitate my daughter's return to the UK with her mother. This wasn't about me splitting my daughter away from my mother. And even now, if the mother and my daughter came back, I wouldn't stop access to my daughter.
Good to hear that. Really
that would
important.
be just,
yeah, because that if a child is fortunate enough to have two parents, that child should have access to two parents, unless there is an overwhelming reason such as abuse why they shouldn't have. But other than that, no parent should get in the way of the other parent. Divine John says, keep the battle going. Your daughter will appreciate and feel the love once all this is settled. Top Dad Award goes to Tom. Just to say, in answer to your question, yes, Craig, Tom's daughter is 9 years old. Tom, we will continue to help you raise awareness. We will get this video sent to you, and let's get it out, and people, and let's raise as much awareness for Tom as humanly possible. Tom, keep us updated, will you?
I certainly will. And thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure. Take good care of yourself. Everybody, it's Tom Toolan. Take good care, Tom.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.